Namaste and good morning all. And very good morning to my distinguished speakers today. Sri Senapati Krish Gopal Krishnan, co-founder and former vice chairman of Infosys, uh, and currently chairman Exelor Ventures as keynote speaker, and Dr. Omkar Rai, Director General STPI. I also welcome over 1,000 participants watching us live from various parts of India and my colleagues from all 60 centers of STPI. As Director Innovation and Startups Promotion Software Technology Parks of India, it is great pleasure and honor for me to bring two distinguished speakers from industry in this session and government in this session of STPI Pulse, the knowledge series for transformative ideation. STPI Pulse, an online webinar series, is a pioneer initiative of STPI and STPI Next initiatives, where speakers of global repute will share the knowledge and experience for the benefit of the community at large. Through this series, we aim to spread the knowledge and support Indian IT industry and startups to become more resilient and stay afloat by deliberating on the challenges, opportunities, strategies, and to become more sustainable and resilient in front of this global crisis. After the resounding response from the first session, where Mr. Subrata Bakshi last week, the audience got the very grateful insight on overcoming the unprecedented crisis, particularly by IT, ITS, MSMEs, and startups, and his 11 important sutras or strategies for survival. I'm sure today's session from our keynote speaker, Sri Krish Gopal Krishnan, on sailing through uncertainties, impact on startups, and how they leverage current crisis to emerge as leaders will be equally enriching. Given the pandemic of COVID-19 has engulfed the entire world and has posed serious challenges for the health and economic security of millions of people worldwide, given the global economy has started contracting and this unprecedented extraordinary event having global repercussions on the economy has started to impact businesses worldwide. Indian IT, ITS industry and startup ecosystem is also impacted and is bracing for the uncertainty ahead. Industry, particularly the IT, ITS sector, has well weathered the crisis in past, and with each crisis, it is involved in its approach and the way of doing business. I'm sure whether it is a tech startup, a mid-sized IT, ITS company, or a global behemoth, the management teams in facing the crisis are taking tough decisions and which may impact a variety of dimensions, including health and safety of their employees, business continuity operations and challenges, engagement and communication with their customers, looking hard at cash flow and burn while rejigging forecasts, setting up expectations with investors and market, managing supply chain and logistics as the operations demand. Reimagining the future while taking stock of the global developments will not only help address the vulnerabilities, but it will also require pushing the envelope of technology adoption. I'm sure there is very little introduction needed for the two distinguished speakers. However, it is an honor for me to introduce my keynote speaker, Mr. Senapati Krish Gopal Krishnan. Fondly known as Krish, is the chairman of Exelor Ventures, an accelerator that helps startups during the early stage of their business journey. Chris served as the vice chairman of Infosys from 2011 to 2014 and the chief executive officer and managing director of Infosys from 2007 to 2011. Under his leadership, Infosys emerged strong and paved the way for new era of IT. The company went on to double its revenues from 3 billion to 6 billion during one of the worst crisis times while Chris was leading the show at Infosys. Chris is also one of the co-founders of Infosys and well known in the industry. Recognized as a global business and technology thought leader, he was voted top CEO in Institutional Investors' inaugural ranking of Asia's top executive and selected as one of the winners of the second Asian Corporate Director Recognition Awards by Corporate Governance Asia in 2011. He also was selected to Thinkers 50, an elite list of global business thinkers in 2009. He was elected president of India's Apex Industry Chamber, Confederation of Indian Industry, CII, for 13 and 14, and served as one of the co-chairs of the World Economic Forum in Davos in January 14. In January 2011, the government of India awarded Mr. Gopalakrishnan as the Padma Bhushan, the country's third highest civilian honor. Mr. Chris serves on the board of governors of Okinawa Institute of Science and Technology and is the chairman of board of governors of Triple IT Bangalore. He is the chairman of the Vision Group on Information Technology of Karnataka government and chairman of CIA Startup Council as well. Mr. Chris is also chairman of Itihas Research and Digital, which publishes history of Indian IT industry as Itihas, as well as reports on industrial and academic research in India. Thank you, Chris, for your patronage to STPI and taking time out of this webinar. And we are confident that your rich experience and vision will be extremely helpful and immensely helpful and inspiring for the entire Indian IT fraternity and startups in overcoming one of the worst challenges, an imminent global economic slowdown due to COVID-19. My first speaker is Dr. Omkar Rai, Dr. Director General Software Technology Parks of India. In India, a premier government organization working for the promotion of IT, ITES, ESDM industry in India. Dr. Rai has contributed immensely in repositioning STPI with focus on innovation and dispersal of IT, ESDM industry beyond metros. With over 25 years of experience in IT, ESDM sector, with the unique distinction of enabling close working of government and industry, he has been instrumental in formulating an appropriate interface among industry, academia, and, and industry associations. His latest focus is building a vibrant pan-India tech entrepreneurship and startup ecosystem with new initiatives in STPI such as Center of Excellence in GIS, Mighty Startup Hub, IBPS, NEBPS scheme, etc. I think we all geared up under his leadership to make India as a product nation. We know at the end of the session, we'll also take certain Q&A from the audience. So once again, I welcome you all in the second webinar of TPI Pulse, and I'm confident today's deliberations will be immensely helpful for the IT fraternity. So let me first invite Dr. Omkar Rai ji for his inaugural thoughts. So over to you, Dr. Rai.
Thanks, Subodh. First of all, I must welcome all the participants in this webinar, and I must, on my own behalf and on behalf of STPI, welcome our distinguished speaker, keynote speaker, Sri Shanapati Krish Gopal Krishnan. Our association, his association with STPI goes long back, and he has always been, supporting STPI's endeavors, and he's seen as the greatest, one of the, prominent leaders in the not only in IT industry but overall industry of India, and he has been guiding us and all industry verticals through his association, through CII. Now he is also the chairman of Exelar Venture. So on one hand, he has been instrumental in establishing India's, our world's largest IT services company, known Infosys. Right now, he is very busy in promoting deep research in the cutting-edge technologies, and also chairing the Exelar Ventures and helping the startups. And therefore, I must express my great satisfaction to my team in STPI, who has approached him for becoming the second speaker. For those who have not participated in the last lecture, I must say that the last time Sri Subrata Bagchi was the speaker, and he spoke on the uh, challenges that COVID-19 has brought in the IT services industry, and that webinar was also well taken. Several questions were asked, and I'm sure that all those participants were greatly benefited and got insight into their problem. Now, I must say that IT industry as such has been very adaptive, and it has been an agile, and the kind of best practices that were instituted in its functioning. I must say that the credit goes to the leaders like Chris Gopal Krishna himself, who is the speaker today. And because of these kind of practices that IT industry had, because of the culture it had, because of its collaborative framework platform kind of working, and and proper use of IT tools and connectivity, this industry, because of lockdown, has been able to sustain its operation, and has been able to deliver its services to their valued customers all across the world, while adopting to the culture of working from home. And that is something which has helped STPI, IT industry to stay afloat, and to meet the challenges brought in front of them because of COVID lockdown. Today we are going to talk about and seek the guidance from Sri Krish Gopal Krishnan about how impact on startups and how may they leverage the present crisis and emerge as leader. I am very sure that they will be benefited from his vision, his wisdom, and his viewpoint. I must say that COVID-19 has impacted world over the way we have been doing things, and it has been absolutely, the world has got to a halt. And therefore, the leaders, the thinkers, the ideators have started thinking a very innovative manner. I'm sure that because of these reasons, world over, there is an opportunity for the people who can think, who can ideate, and could solve the problems to emerge as a startups. Moreover, you know that since people are locked down in their cities and places, the leisure spending and other spending has come to an halt, and there are people who are ready to spare their funds, their thoughts, their support towards doing something which is not very usual. And therefore this has presented an opportunity to startups, and therefore it's time for startups to solve the problem that are being faced by the society, by the industry at large, by the governments at large. And I must say that keeping in view of these kind of challenges, the government, you can see from the kind of initiative that government has been taking, you can be very happy. You must be very happy that government is more than forthcoming and has come up with quick things which has not been the hallmark of the government functioning. And therefore you can see that Arogya Setu app has been launched with the 50 million subscriber as of now, and the number is rapidly growing. This Arogya Setu is one platform which is going to create a foundation for so many health startups to come around, and it is going to become a kind of platform around which so many things will come in times to come. You know that the India's stack about which has been created through Aadhaar, around Aadhaar, so many things have happened miraculously in terms of digital payment, money transfer, peer-to-peer money transfer, which has been uh, possible because of the kind of infrastructure which was created by the government in terms of Aadhaar. And therefore, the kind of initiative government has also quickly launched and implemented the government instant messaging system. It has also uh, just thrown a open challenge, grand challenge for innovative challenge for development of video conferencing solution. And anybody and a startup who will become successful in this challenge grant will get 100,000, 1 crore Indian rupees as a grant, and will see a lot of success in times to come for its largest adoption by the government all over the country. And therefore several such challenges are in offing, are going to come, and governments want now that all they should create products, they should create platform, facilitate creation of certain platform through the challenge grants, so that Indian startups could create world class products which can be used by the governments and the people of this country at large. STPI also launched during this lockdown period a Safe India hackathon, and you'll be very happy that we received about 546 application, and about 156 were shortlisted. And finally, we have selected 10 startups whose products will be finally evaluated and promoted to be developed in our incubation. These products are around sanitation, disinfection, contactless detection, health monitoring solution, devices and gadgets to support social distancing and isolation. I must say that during this COVID-19, so many startups can work around developing several products and solutions in the areas of health services. And therefore, uh, this the whole challenge is also an opportunity. It's for us to convert this into an opportunity, create products, help the government, people, citizens, industry at large, so that they can do certain things in better manner. uh, you would also see several things in times to come, like in terms of digital monies in the digital payment, digital banking, health services, connectivity, collaboration tools. All these things will, of course, they are there already, developed by multinationals and other tech giants of the world. But it's time for us to develop these products in indigenously within India, so that we can create value and contain the value within this country. Several technology giants are offering a lot of grants, a lot of their clouds, their services free of cost to the startups, and I'm very sure that you will be able to leverage all those initiatives, all these support that are being lended to you by all these stakeholders, governments, multinationals, Indian IT giants, and so on, so on. I must, with these few words, I must say that uh, this is you will definitely get the views, wisdom of Mr. Gopal Krishnan, and you can feel free to ask questions, to interact, and leverage and benefit from this very very webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a very inspiring thoughts and in terms of what government is doing, and what STPI is doing in this challenging time. Let me now invite Chris for his keynote session. So over to you, Chris. Now, so yeah, sir, please, to you now.
Thank you. So both thank you, Omkar, thank you, STPI, for giving me this opportunity to reach out to a very large audience. I'm pleasantly surprised at the number of people who have joined. So thank you all very much. I really appreciate your participation. What I want to do is take you through a short PowerPoint presentation to begin with, and then open it up for interaction, questions, etc. Before I start, I'm also glad that we are doing this on AirMeet. It's a product that's been created for video conferencing, for seminars, for such events, webinars, by an Indian startup. So I'm glad that we're doing this on AirMeet, and congratulations to them. Of course, at the end of the session, we'll thank them again. Next slide, please. See, we are in the midst of an unprecedented crisis. Never in my lifetime, and I'm assuming that never in all of your lifetimes, we have seen anything like this. This is unprecedented. This is unexpected. Even in the beginning of March, there were indications. I had come back from Bhutan, and when I landed in Calcutta, they were actually checking temperature, etc. But they had not stopped people coming. Air travel was still allowed, and I don't think we fully understood the impact this would have. So as I said, unexpected, unprecedented, and it impacts entire world. It impacts every industry in some form or other, some more than other. We'll come to that. And the first things I want to talk about is how do we ensure that we protect ourselves, we protect our family, we protect our colleagues, act responsibility and with self-discipline. Now, this is extremely important, because if I don't do something, I take risk, I put my family at risk, I put all the people I meet at risk. So please act responsibility. This is the first request, first task that every one of us must adhere to make sure that we act responsibly and we protect our family and colleagues. Second is, most of us are working from home, and will continue to work from home. And I want to say that we need to ensure that we understand the protocols around working from home. Of course, your company will have to update its standard operating procedures to include work from home. It has to equip you to work from home. It has to ensure that you have the infrastructure that's available, but it's also responsibility of each individual to make sure that privacy is ensured, productivity is ensured, because a lot of responsibility is on you. Nobody is sitting there watching what you're doing, etc. You need to ensure the security of the equipment, the infrastructure, the data, the programs, the IP. All of that is important. And work from home, one more important thing is there. We need to make sure that we have a regular routine which includes exercise, which includes maybe if you are into meditation, because that also boosts immunity. You should eat proper, good, healthy food, not junk food, because there are you get WhatsApp messages now. WhatsApp has become, or messages have become, a key way people communicate with each other. And you've seen cartoons, right? At the end of the lockdown, people are double or twice the size, right? We don't want that. We actually want to reduce consumption and boost immunity, make sure that we stay healthy. And the last thing is, this is an opportunity for you to update your skills. There are large number of courses online. Many of them are free. And so use this opportunity to update your skills. This will be relevant for you. This will be relevant to the organization that you're part of. So this is from an individual perspective. Now I'll go into from a business perspective, and this applies to both large businesses, small businesses, as well as startups. Subodh talked about my period at Infosys as CEO. I joined as CEO. I started as CEO. I joined Infosys in 1981. I started as CEO in 2007. And in 2008, we had the global financial crisis. The entire world turned upside down, especially with the financial services industry. And we had a crisis of unprecedented proportions, but I would say that this crisis is even larger than that. So there is some experience that I've had, some things that we did at that point which worked, and that's partly what I am sharing. Part of the other knowledge is from working with many startups, many accelerators, industry bodies, etc., working with government on how we need to face the situation, and we need to together address this. No one person can do this. No one company can do this on their own. We must work together, and we must work with the government. Government has a very important role to play, and we must work together. State governments must work together with central government. State governments must work together. We need to all come together in order to make sure that we come out of this stronger and in a better position. See, before this started, of course, everybody knows about the IT services industry. The startup community in India was also well regarded around the world, third largest startup community in the world. And as students, as youth, I would say at least 10-20% of the people were favorably thinking about doing a startup or being part of a startup, etc. Now, if I can get back the presentation. Yeah, can Subodh, can the presentation be back?
Yeah, sorry, sir. I think some issue with my connection, so it's back now.
No problem. Thank you very much. When you look at how we are facing this, the immediate challenge was work from home, and then how do you manage your business with rest of the people being on site or being at the work location, factories having to work in shifts and things like that. We have to look at social distancing. We have to ensure that the work environment is safe, sterile, the transportation is organized such that people don't infect each other. The cafeteria and the canteen has to be set up properly. And the government has given lots of guidelines. Industry bodies have come out with guidelines on these things. And we need to make sure that we follow these guidelines. We need to contribute to these guidelines. So for example, what works in an automotive industry may not be working in a, let's say, garment industry, or may not work in a research environment. So we need to come out with guidelines by industry and make sure that we share them, we share the best practices, working together. Again, I'll come back to this theme of working together to ensure that there is business continuity. This is all the employees coming together. We need to ensure that the industry works and comes out of this unscathed or with very little risk or very little harm. And then, of course, as an economy, as a nation, we need to ensure that we come out of this in a better shape. So we have to work together. And the horizon that we need to think about, there is a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of people have asked me this question: when will this get over? Unfortunately, we don't have an answer today. And hence, let's assume the worst case scenario. Let's assume that this is going to take 12 months to recover and turn around. And whatever you do, you plan for the next 12 months. If it happens earlier than that, everybody is happy. If it takes longer than that, you change your planning horizon to include now maybe the next 12 months, etc. Hopefully, before that, a vaccine would come, and we will be in a better position to prevent the spreading of this disease. So the reason why we are uncertain is, without a vaccine, we are unable to stop the spread of this virus. That's the simple fact. We are unable to. So we need to wait for the vaccine. Till then, the only solution that we have is social distancing, wearing masks, working in an environment in which there is protection for people, less infection. Testing is also important to ensure that people who may show signs of the disease, they show symptoms, are tested to ensure that it's COVID or not COVID. There are people could get other illnesses in this time frame, and so what we need to worry about is COVID illness, and so testing is very important. Next slide, please. Previous slide. Yes. So go to the next slide. So when you look at how do you manage the business, what is under your control, what is under our control is costs, because that's a decision that you make. So at home, for example, we can decide, okay, we will reduce consumption, we will reduce unnecessary expenses, we will manage things properly. We can also help somebody who needs help in this time of difficulty. Similarly, when it comes to business also, controlling cost is something that everybody will have to think about, because cash is the most important ingredient to ensure survival. Most companies go out of business not because their idea is poor or the execution is not up to mark, but because they run out of cash. Of course, the running out of cash may be the result of poor execution, etc., or the idea may not be that good. But the bad idea with cash could actually take the business further. A poor execution with tremendous amount of cash will also take the business much further. But that's not the current discussion. Current discussion is ensure that you look at all measures to control costs, look at compensation costs, look at your growth plans and see and whether these assumptions are still relevant. So for example, if you had said that I'm going to enter new markets in this time frame, it's really not clear whether new customers will come into a business in this time frame. People are not going to start buying new things, take new products, new services. So entering a new market may not be worthwhile to spend the money during this time frame. So look at every initiative and make sure that it brings in immediate revenue, or you cut that cost. Renegotiate with your suppliers and service contracts, prolong the payment periods, ask the question, do I require the services? Look at R&D expenses, relook at debt costs. The interest rates have come down, so maybe you can renegotiate and bring down the interest rates by redoing the debt contracts and things like that. Some of them can be converted to equity. This is something I did in one of the investments that I had given the company debt, and in this time I said it's better for me to convert that into equity so that they don't have to pay the interest costs. So reduce your interest costs, etc. Relook at sales and marketing. Again, sales and marketing in this during this period will have to be focused on protecting your existing customers, providing them better service. As I said, we may not be able to attract new clients, new customers, and hence the focus should really be on protecting your existing customers. Eliminate all discretionary expenses. So for example, we may have been going for lunch once a week or once a fortnight, etc., to do team building, etc. Maybe this is not the time to do these things. Look at all such expenses. Convert fixed cost to variable cost so that it is proportional to the revenues that you're getting. So lots of things to control costs. And I will also add, see, there are 3 different stages a company could be. Right at the beginning, you have some MVP, but you don't have investors, you don't have customers. Second, you have customers, you're just starting, you've maybe angel investors, no institutional investors. And the third is you have product customers and institutional investors. Now, when you don't have a product ready, when you don't have customers, you're at the very beginning, I suggest that such a startup must be put on cold storage. This is not a period where you are going to get investment. Very difficult to attract investment unless it comes from your family, etc. Even then, the risk is so high at this point. In the second category, where you have angel investors, you have a product, you have some customers. Again, attracting institutional investors may be difficult, but you may not be able to wind down the business. So try to reduce as much cost as possible. Make sure that you are able to prolong the runway, and like I said, at least 12 months of expenses must be available as cash in your hand. The third category is when you have institutional investors. My discussion with institutional investors tell me that they are very keen to support their companies. They're actually looking at the cash that investors have and allocating them disproportionately to their existing investments, protecting their existing investments. And so if you're doing reasonably well, if you have been executing your plans well, and unfortunately you got into this situation, they will support you. My discussions with investors tell me that they will support you. And so you probably are in a better position. You still need to look at conserving your cash controlling your costs, elongating your runway, etc. That you still need to do. Next slide, please. Next slide, Subbu. Then we go to the product mix, whether you need to do a pivot or not. First of all, you need to communicate with your customers, make sure that your product is still relevant to your customers. So for example, if you are in a hospitality business or travel tourism business, etc., travel has come down to zero almost, and people are not going out into hotels, into restaurants, etc. And that's a business that needs to rethink what it can do. Now, some of the cloud kitchens, for example, have pivoted in the short term to supply meals to migrant workers or people below poverty line, etc. They're attracting grants from philanthropists, they're attracting grants from CSR funds, they're attracting grants from industry, well-wishers, etc. So they are able to, they may not make a profit, but they're able to run their cloud kitchen, they're able to serve a purpose and manage their expenses, keep their employees, etc. So this is a pivot in the short term, which actually is a good example of what you need to look at in the current crisis to see whether you can do something to benefit from this. Similarly, if you are, for example, in the content business and you are moving that content to digital, definitely you will find that this probably will grow. A lot of us are consuming digital content. It could be educational, it could be entertainment, it could be infotainment. All of this will actually do well during this time. If you are providing bandwidth, telecom companies, for example, they will do very well. Even here, I think you need to look at how your payments happen, because your customer who's consuming this may not be still a viable business and your payments may get delayed. They may also be trying to increase the runway that they have. So you need to be flexible. You need to look at new ways to serve your customers. You need to work together with your customers as that both win. It's very, very important to look at win-win scenarios in this case. And I can tell you that when I was at Infosys, this was one of the most important ways in which we built loyalty with our customers. We were flexible. And I'll give you one example. The client did not have budget to grow. In fact, their budgets were cut by 20-30%. But we had committed people, and these people would be on bench at Infosys, companies like Infosys. So we said, let us put these people onto these projects. We are not going to get these projects, and we will do these projects free of cost, provided there's sufficient business with that client. We don't invoice you at this point. Because we could do that because there's a cost anyway we have to carry, and these people are on bench, so we put them on customer projects, increase the projects that we will deliver and help the customers that way. So there are many ways you can actually work with customers, get closer to them, build goodwill, and this will help you at the other end when things become better. You need to look at repurposing your products. I gave you a couple of examples of that. Digitize your business. For example, if you are in a health business, you're providing exercise and things like that, you're running physical gyms, convert that into digital. If you are doing mental health, convert that to digital. Can you now support your customers through online gyms, online meditation sessions and things like that? You can still get new customers provided your product is relevant and you can grow. So for example, the content business, businesses are growing 20-30%. Some businesses are growing at 20-30%. And last point here is some of the changes that you're making actually is permanent and will drive long-term growth for you. So for example, digitizing your business, I think it's a good move and will actually help you in the long term. More digital revenue streams, more digital products actually is the way in which we need to go in the future. And some of them will be temporary. So for example, I talked about the cloud kitchen being repurposed for serving meals to the needy. Don't know whether it will be relevant after we come out of this crisis. So those are temporary changes. Go to the next slide, please. Managing your employees. Again, it's extremely important to carry them. See, everybody is frightened of this situation. There is health-related concerns, there is job-related concerns, there is salary-related, compensation-related concerns, there is concerns whether you will have a job or not, what will happen, how long this will take, etc. And it is important to communicate, address the fears that people would have. It is important to involve your employees in everything that we do. You know, who is in the best position to actually help you? It's your employees. So ask them, you know, what expenses we need to cut, what expenses we need to reduce, what should be our strategy, how can we repurpose our products, how can we look at new set of customers. Everything, involve your employees, and them being involved will also give them the confidence that you believe in them, you think they're important, and you will, I can assure you that you will get their full support. And when you come out with a need to cut compensation, etc., they'll be more than willing to support you. Be flexible in everything that you do. So for example, there may be an employee who will come back and tell you, sorry sir, I cannot afford to take a salary cut. Some other employee may come back and say, instead of 20%, I can take 40% cut during this time. So be flexible with work from home actually, such that you know, you understand the circumstances and manage this. So for example, somebody may have older parents in another city and they want to actually be with them during this crisis. Maybe the parents are sick. So be flexible actually to allow them to work not just in this city, but allow them to work from another city. Protect your key employees. Every company will have some employees who are considered key employees. They're more relevant than other employees. I wouldn't say, you know, indispensable, because nobody is indispensable. So we need to protect these key employees. We need to tell them that they are considered key employees, and we need to manage their requirements very carefully. It doesn't mean that you can't cut their compensation, but it's just that you know, manage them you know, much better than the entire set of employees. Handle any separations as humanely as possible. You know, try and see whether you can outplace. So one of the initiatives in the startup community that I'm very proud of is they're all talking to each other to see whether they can actually help place these employees. Some of the venture investors are creating funds out of their own money. These are general partners' money to help these employees during this time till they get a new job. So lots of initiatives are happening within the community, and that's the reason why I'm actually quite proud of how the industry has responded, how the startup community has responded, how the investors have responded during this crisis. Next slide, please. Next slide. Investors, actually, again, a very important stakeholder. Share bad news proactively. Be very proactive in communicating with your investors. They own part of your company. It is also their company, and you may be slow in communicating good news, but bad news you need to communicate as quickly as possible. At Infosys, we used to say that good news will take the stairs, bad news will take the elevator. So it needs to come. It needs to reach the investors as quickly as possible, so that they can help. They can prepare themselves. They can, you build trust and confidence, etc. Transparency is important. Constant, complete communication. And as I said already, existing investors are the best bet for cash infusion to increase your runway, to help you with this. Existing investors will also help you. Maybe there is an acquisition candidate that you can actually add to your business. This is a good time to look at M&A and things like that. Existing investors will help you actually get merged with another entity, so that the business survives in another form. I think it's very, very important to communicate and take their support and help during this. Trust is important in this regard, and that's the reason why transparency, constant, complete communication is important. As I said again, investors will try to bet on their best companies. They will bulk up, they will put more money and help these companies increase their runway. The next slide. This is the last slide, and then I will open it up for questions, so you can start thinking about the questions. See, everyone plays multiple roles in life. I consider that every one of you is a leader. So we may have a leadership position in an organization, but in life, with your family, to your children, to your friends, in a project, we play leadership roles all through our life. You may be supporting an NGO, you may be supporting in food delivery and things like to the needy. So leadership is something that happens all through life. And of course, then we play also leadership roles in businesses, in organizations, etc. And what is important is to lead with empathy. Look at the other person as a individual, as a family person, has dependents, has concerns, has challenges, has priorities, has emergencies, all these things. He or she is a real life person, and you need to understand that. You need to empathize with them. You need to try and understand. Always, it may not be possible to help them, but at least you need to have empathy with them. Communicate more with confidence. See, this is not a crisis that any one of us created. It's a once in a lifetime, as I said, it's what I call black swan events, which happen sometimes. Unfortunately for us, this once in a lifetime has happened in our lifetime. I'm confident that we will be able to, at the end of this, look back and say that, well, I lived through this, I managed this, I came out stronger, and we will have stories to tell, and you will probably share platforms like this where you will talk about what you did. The best form of leadership is leadership by example. Whatever we ask others to do, we must be willing to do. Again, I'll give you a simple example. Of course, may not be relevant in this context, but to show what leadership by example is. At Infosys, we say that for domestic flights, we will take economy. That applies to everybody. It applies to the CEO, everybody, at least when I was there. And that's what leadership by example means. It's one rule for everybody. For international flights above certain number of hours, we say business class. Now, if you want to upgrade it, you use your money, you use your miles to upgrade. Company will not provide any of those things. Work harder than your people. Again, it's leadership by example, because we are going to ask people to sacrifice. We are going to ask people to work longer hours. We are asking people to do things which are not normal, and hence you must lead by example. You must work harder than your people. Understand what you can control and influence. This is again very important from a stress management perspective. We note down, we track what is happening around us, but we don't worry about things that we can't control. So, for example, development of a vaccine is what is going to stop this. Now, unless I am personally involved in the development of vaccine, I just can't control it. I have no way of influencing it. So I would not worry about vaccine at this point when it's available, etc. Of course, I will track it. But providing infrastructure for working from home is something that I can help with, I can do. I would then see what help I can do, what support I can do, and how I can help in that situation. So understand what you can influence, what you can help with, what you can control. And in those circumstances, we must deliver. We must meet our commitments and things like that. Question everything, all the assumptions, etc. You know, it's like this is an opportunity to create a clean slate, redraw the purpose for the business, purpose for each individual, how we will live, how we will work. In some sense, it's a reset, and take advantage of this to relook at that. You know, I was looking at my wardrobe, and I was saying that I'm working from home. I'm not wearing. And then I realized that most of the time I don't require all these clothes, right? And so now I'm trying to figure out what do I do, right? So look at everything actually, you know, this is an opportunity to do reset everything. And remember that the crisis is the best time to separate the best from the rest. When things are going well, everybody does well or reasonably well. You know, everybody does something. But during this crisis, only the best will survive, and that's what separates the best from the rest. So look at what your core competencies are, what your skills are, develop on that. That's what investors also do, develop on those best companies that they have investments in, so that the best will survive. It doesn't mean that you need to worry much, but you need to understand where you stand. That's the reason why I said, if you have a idea, you've done a startup, but you don't have customers or you don't have investors, put it in cold storage. Maybe work as a software developer or a designer, you know, maybe do some freelance work, or maybe if you can afford it, take some time off and rejoin or restart the company after this crisis over. And the last but not the least, ask for help. You know, there is nothing wrong. There is a huge network. I want to reiterate, the community has come together very well to help each other, and I'm amazed at all the things that people are doing. For example, there is an ACT grant fund of 100 crores that is created to support initiatives to help in the COVID situation. The Arogya Setu that Omkar Roy talked about is actually an outcome of a support from the ACT grant fund, if I'm not wrong, developed by volunteers, etc. So there are many such initiatives. The government is also looking at ways in which it can help individuals, it can help startups. For example, through Fund of Funds, they're putting money into SIDBI. They're looking at how banks can lend during this time. Reserve Bank have come forward. Industry associations, NASSCOM, CII, etc., are trying to help. STPI, again, a good source, not just these webinars, but they have incubators and things like that. And they have a community of mentors, so you can reach out, ask for help. You are not in this alone. You are in a community, you are in a society, you are with peers. And this is the learning again from the IT services industry. The IT services industry succeeded because we compete aggressively, but we also cooperate very well. We work together as an industry in working with governments, not just in India, around the world, issues related to visa, issues related to work permits, issues related to quality, issues related to governance, everything we work to, issues related to technology, skilling, everything we work together very well. And that's the community mindset that we need to have even in startups, maybe by sector, by industry, etc. And similarly, we need to create support systems for all the people that we know. So I will pause here. I just want to say that yes, it is a difficult period, but there are lots of help available. There are opportunities available to innovate and create pivots and new products. You need to understand your business very well. You need to understand what you can control. You need to control your costs such that you can increase the runway. And this is going to come to an end at some point. Unfortunately, we don't know what that time frame is, but it will, as everything in life, there will be a light at the end of the tunnel, and it will be sooner than later, and we will emerge out of this stronger if we are together and help each other. So I will now open it up for Q&A, and Subodh, over to you.
Yeah, so thank you, sir. I think we had a very, very, I'm sure the way I enjoyed listening to you, our audience, which was more than 600, 700 people watching live on this platform, plus on Facebook Live, they are very excited. And I'm sure the unexpected, unprecedented crisis which you mentioned, and the Black Swan moment which we have right now, people have a lot of questions. So now I'll ask audience to ask a question one by one. Please raise your hand, and you have posted some question in chat window. We'll pick them up as well. But raise your hand and wait for your turn to come, and then you can probably ask a question. So yeah. So we have I think Apurva Sahu. So we just wait for. Yeah. Okay. We have. Apurva, I think you can go ahead and ask your question, if we can hear us.
It was a really great session. Learned a lot.
Hi, Apurva. Go ahead.
My question is, how can we recruit mentors to help?
Okay, I think. Okay, so I think Apurva is maybe dropped right now. So, sir, I think before audience gets asked a question. So, sir, you mentioned about on the permanent change versus a temporary change, right? And you mentioned about work from home, right, as a new emerging model, right? We have seen some recent news also in terms of this work from home model is going to be here, and Indian IT industry, especially the service industry, is looking to as a kind of permanent change, right? We have heard the leaders, and I think the debate is still ongoing. So, but we would like to hear your thoughts, on the same.
So people are getting used to working from home, and they're able to now manage productivity, they're able to manage quality, they're able to ensure security and things like that. Hence, many startups that I talk to are saying that even after things become normal, they're going to rethink the need for an office. They will, they will work from home. Most of them will work from home. Once in a while, for example, they will meet up for lunch as an informal meeting. If they need to have a meeting of all the people, they will just rent a conference room depending on how many people are there, etc. Smaller groups, smaller conference rooms, and use it for those meetings. When it comes to IT companies, it's very interesting what happened. See, IT companies, as you know, have fantastic disaster recovery plans because they have global clients who can't afford to have any downtime. And they've been executing well for the past 35 years on those plans, etc. But this threw that plan out of the window because none of them had thought about work from home as a disaster recovery plan, part of the disaster recovery plan. It was not part of the business continuity plan. And they had to scramble around, and I know that most of you have stories to tell. They had to move desktop computers home because most people had desktops at office. Only some people had notebook computers. They had to set up the environment to work from home in terms of security and things like that. Then they found out that bandwidth was available. And they found out that the discipline was not there. They had to talk to the customers to ensure that customers are allowed work from home. So it had to be part of the standard operating procedure. So all of that. And given that experience, and from NASSCOM, I came to know that 90% of the work is, especially in large companies, being delivered out of home now. And since that experience, I believe that it will become a standard operating procedure for IT companies to ensure or to make 20% at least to work from home. And it'll become now part of the disaster recovery plan. Clients will also accept that. So that's what I think will happen.
Sure. I think we have, Ramsey Tharakran. Probably Ramsey, if you can hear us, please go ahead and ask your question. Be brief in your question.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Are you able to hear my voice? Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. I had a question that is, as you said, now it's going to be normal. That is a one-to-one meetings and appraisals will be normal. So all the goal settings and the project management, will that also be normal for the rest of the year? And does that mean that softwares in that area will have a higher values in the coming months?
Appraisal will have to be done digitally now, right? The way data is collected will continue to be, it was always digital, so it will continue to be digital. Appraisal will be now through, tools like Skype or through Zoom or one of those, whatever physical meetings you have will happen over video conferencing or teleconferencing. But the tools and the measurements will still be the same and will continue to be collected the same way. How projects are going to be evaluated now that the companies have figured out how to work in this manner, how work from home can be embedded into their processes and procedures, and productivity is starting to come back to normal. I think projects will be assessed the same way. And that's very, very important. And the way I see most companies doing it is they're actually replicating some of the physical things they used to do into virtual. So there will be a project meeting in the morning for maybe 15 minutes, just to sync up so all people will participate in that. There'll be a meeting at the end of the day to again sync up what has been completed, what has not been completed, what is the plan for the next day, or how do you update your customer of what has happened during the daytime here. So many of the processes will be replicated such that you give confidence to customers, you maintain productivity, and you in this model, now you're able to deliver projects.
Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you. And I think we, while we take another question, we also have a question on chat window. As Chris, you two spoke about, digitizing the businesses as the way forward, right? Given in this situation. Now, there are certain businesses which are probably, I think people have asked that they are in retail industry, they are agricultural, industry, where tech intervention they are talking about, right? Now, these industries, they feel it's a very challenging, right, to digitize because in retail industry, there are certain challenges, and similarly in other industry. So they want to hear your thoughts in terms of, how they survive or how they should reorient themselves in this scenario.
See, we need to look at innovation if possible. So let me give you an example of in retail innovation that's being tried out here in Bangalore. I've not tested it, but I read about it yesterday. There is a single WhatsApp number on which you can WhatsApp your grocery order, and you can say which shop you normally buy. And it seems now fulfillment, somebody in the background is actually calling up the store, packaging all these things and delivering it to your home. And you can pay by cash or credit or debit card. Now this is a new way of actually doing retail. Now the nearby grocery store that you normally go to has not changed. They're getting orders on WhatsApp. There's somebody delivering this to your home. They're charging 10 rupees, I think, as delivery charge or something like that. And the whole thing is happening using WhatsApp. So there are ways in which you can actually digitize your business. You need to think creatively. You need to think innovatively. I agree that not all things are possible. You can't grow vegetables digitally. It has to be physical at the end of the day, and you need to manage that. But what is also important to remember is that, and this also came in the news today, the virus doesn't seem to spread in outdoors in higher temperatures as much as it does in indoors and air-conditioned environment. So you may be actually better off in the garden doing some cultivation than actually sitting inside in a meeting or something like that.
We have CM Nanjappa, now. So Nanjappa, if you can hear us, go ahead with your question.
Thank you so much, Subodh. Mr. Krish, pleasure to meet you. Mr. Omkar, pleasure. Thank you so much for walking us through all of this and give us ideas in terms of how we can battle this together. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you so much. So one of the things that I want to share with you is, you mentioned about how, it is important for us to get together to strive through this situation. But one of the things that we do is we assist a lot of leading companies with their sales and marketing initiatives. And you made a very important point saying, companies should now focus on in terms of retaining their existing customers, helping them out. My question to you is, definitely it's time for everybody. Like you said, we're going to see a brighter end of the tunnel very soon. What do you recommend from your experience that should large companies like an Infosys, TCS, Wipro try and rebrand solutions, reach out to companies saying that, we're going to help you during these COVID times because we have these kinds of solutions available? Or do you recommend we should continue their approach in terms of, trying to gain new business? People are settling into the work from home mode. It's not business as usual, definitely, but it's getting better now. But how do you recommend companies still go about, probably gaining new business for their organizations as we progress now?
See, in my experience, what will happen is that the budgets with existing customers will get slashed because their business is impacted. So the clients for all these IT companies are in financial services, in retail, in manufacturing. So let's say the client is a car manufacturer. No cars are being sold because, or very few cars are being sold because the entire value chain is broken all the way from the dealer to the supply chain at the end. Everything is broken right now, and output has come down significantly. So what does the car manufacturer do? they have to cut expenses and they will cut the IT budget significantly,
Right.
which will translate to less business for companies like Infosys, Wipro, TCS, etc., etc. Of course, I'm not inside. I'm just saying this is what could happen. So this is the situation you are in. You're scrambling to protect your existing revenue streams, scrambling to protect your existing customers. And that's the reason I said, and if you're not working with a company already, it's very difficult to imagine that they will start working with you today unless you have a solution for COVID, or you have a solution which is relevant to them under these environments. So that's the reason I said focus on your existing customers, serve them better, maybe use your bench to provide services at this point to them, put it down to sales and marketing costs, etc. That's what I said.
Thank you. So we have another question on chat window. This is from Priyadarshi, CEO Edu Mentis. That he is also wants to understand that especially with this COVID-19 now, internet data security and the cyber security, right? And obviously work from home tools and business continuity tools. Is that a new opportunity for Indian startups? So your thoughts?
Clearly, tools for video conferencing, tools for security, tools for providing privacy at home, all of these, increasing bandwidth or leveraging the bandwidth better, encrypting the data streams, all of these are going to be very relevant, and we need India-made solutions, make in India solutions, because we want to reduce our dependencies, clearly. And I'm confident that we have the intellect, we have the capability, and this is an opportunity. Government has clearly said we want to encourage, as Omkar said, there's a grant of 1 crore for the video conferencing solution that the government is going to choose, etc. But many others will also find market and customers in this environment. And so I think we should take advantage of this.
Sure. So there is one more question, related question on the fact that the services versus product, and I think this question goes to both our distinguished guests because Indian IT industry is more known for a service and outsourcing destination, right? And so how do we see this challenge? I mean, you talked about indigenous solution, and I think Dr. Rai also spoke about a couple of products, right? So do we see this accelerating? Right, from a services to product nation transformation, which Dr. Rai has been speaking about. So I think I'll go with the anybody can pick up this question for Lisa.
So let me give you my perspective, and then I will let Omkar speak.
Yeah.
First of all, it's not one versus the other.
Yeah.
We want our services to grow. We do now probably close to $200 billion. We want it to go to $300 billion, $500 billion. We want to be the best destination for services in the world. And in order to do that, we need to continue to improve. We need to grow our companies. We need to invest. We need to support them. We need government support for that. We have now tremendous knowledge, and we have the venture capital. We have the infrastructure, support, everything to build products. And we are seeing now more and more products coming out of India in terms of office-related products like Soho, Freshdesk, customer service products, banking products, the Infosys product, Finacle, TCS product is there. We have products for managing logistics at airports. I'm told that 60% of the logistics by air cargo is handled by a company in India. 60%, right? The world domination. So lots of products are emerging. We are becoming a product nation. We need to continue. Our revenue from services is close to 200 billion. Our revenue from products is probably 10 billion or maybe 15, 20 billion. So this must scale up and grow significantly. It's not a problem with intellect or brain power. It's a problem of R&D. It's a problem of capital. See, unlike services, product requires capital investment upfront. Risks are higher, so you need risk capital in it. That is starting to come into India, and you will see more products. Even when I look at companies like Flipkart, for example, so it's a platform on which software platform on which a physical business is being built. In some sense, that is there. Paytm, for example, it's a payment engine, which is a software product on which payments are done. So you will see end user products, end user platforms coming out of India. You will find real products coming out of India, ERP, etc., coming out of India. You will find system products. Airbnb, again, come back to that, coming out of India. So all of these are going to happen. I will give it.
Hey, I think you have covered everything. What I would say that there is no competition between services and product industry. In fact, the product industry in India, basically technology product industry in India, is growing on the foundation of IT services industry. Actually, all the mentors come from there. The people who can develop those products platforms, they come from IT services industry of India. And I have been saying that it is only becoming for India to becoming a product nation only because we have a very strong IT services industry, which is supplying mentors and technical hands and the people who can create your solutions and all. And that is why there is a synergy between both the things. Of course, because of this pandemic, crisis, uh, the government, which was promoting a startup movement in this country by enabling fund creation, enabling a platform, coming up with policies, program, incentives to facilitate the growth of software. And quickly India became the third largest technology startup ecosystem. But the point is that now under this during this crisis period, people are realizing fast that they needed indigenous products. So like if people are saying that let us not use any other foreign product for collaboration, video conferencing and all. And that is why the Ministry of Electronics and IT came up with the challenge grant program for development of indigenous VC solution. So similarly, all such products will come because now people have bandwidth, people have knowledge, know-how, and a very strong knowledge base within India. And I am sure that at this juncture, the kind of challenge we are facing, uh, the kind of awareness that has been created in the stakeholders, people are really coming forward, and all the stakeholders are trying to quickly fix the things, create products, support products creation and all, and adoption mostly. See, the government is more than willing to buy things now, start consuming all those products which is being created by startups. And that is why this synergy between the IT services industry with the young boys and girls startup ecosystem, the governments, the proactiveness in the government to promote creation of technology products, and also to adopt those indigenous products, that is going to create a scenario where we can see a lot of indigenous products not only getting created quickly, but being used quickly by the government stakeholders.
Sir, we have Abhishek Kulshrestha.
Hi, sir.
I think, yeah,
Hi,
Abhishek.
sir.
Yes,
Thank you
go
for
ahead.
giving this opportunity. Sir, I'm from a recruitment industry, so I wanted to know what should we take new ways to recruit now? Like, I want to know, like, we are based at Bhopal, and we are getting challenges in recruiting top end developers. So my question will be like, what new ways should we adopt in order to recruit? Because that is a big challenge now.
I think
Um, you know, first of all, to build a database of potential candidates, you can use technology to pre-screen them. You can actually, test their coding skills. There are now tools available to do that. So first you create a database, call for applications and call for people to apply and get themselves added to your database of potential candidates. Then with the companies, with recruiters, you can actually showcase these. You can actually set up digital online interviews, video conference based interviews, share the code that they have written, etc. Now people can actually upload things onto GitHub and things like that, put their code in GitHub, and the entire process can be online. Actually, there is now, because of technology, very good ways in which the entire recruitment can actually become online, including use of machine learning, etc., to screen candidates. Once the requirement comes in, it can automatically go through the database and select the best candidates that fit the requirements.
Sure. I think, I mean, as of now, I don't see any more raised hands. So one question I think which I thought may be very interesting to understand and get a view from both our distinguished guests. I mean, the recent news we saw in terms of coming together of Facebook and Reliance Jio. I mean, this is coming together two data superpowers is what is being told, right? And it's also being turned as digital Sarvodaya, India's digital Sarvodaya, right? I mean, I think the biggest digital transformation, event which people are trying to, are now talking about, right? So, in this scenario, we need to understand it's at one end, this is the, fact. Other end, it's also been seen that startups find it difficult when there are big tech companies, right? And the space of e-commerce, the local kirana commerce, etc., was a space where probably a lot of startups were trying to compete. So given this dichotomy of things right now, we wanted to hear from a distinguished audience, is this an opportunity or startups have to look elsewhere now?
Telecom worldwide managed by large players because it requires huge investments. And by and large, you have only large players. On top of that, of course, many services are being rendered by smaller companies. You can provide applications on top of that, services on top of that, etc. And that's how we need to develop this ecosystem in India, such that the larger players, and we need to have enough choice, manage the telecom infrastructure, and then on top of that we build commerce, we build payment gateways, we build financial services and things like that. What is nice is that this is the largest investment, foreign direct investment in the tech sector. It shows that India is very attractive even in this environment, even in this crisis, and it'll give confidence for investors that India is a good destination to invest. That's, I think, a good sign. The Competition Commission will look at other aspects and hopefully, ensure that the smaller players, the kirana stores, definitely are not going to be crowded out. It's really surprising that the Prime Minister himself said that it's the kirana store that's actually supporting people, the neighborhood store, which is supporting people in this time of crisis. All you have to do is WhatsApp or just call them and they will deliver. Because the e-commerce companies are not able to deliver for various reasons, actually. And the kirana store is what supported people during this time.
I think very rightly said, because I think that's the fabric of Indian ecosystem. These small kirana stores are there to live, and I think we heard good thoughts in terms of this kind of telecom investment, this kind of investment on platforms is going to digitize the economy and probably further and accelerate the digital infrastructure in country. So we had, I think, some of our colleagues. Any last quick questions before we conclude? Okay, I think so. Sir, okay, I think we are almost there now. So I think thank you Dr. Rai. Thank you, Dr. Sri Krish,
I think
for having me
Omkar
here.
wants to say something. Omkar wants
Yeah,
to
please. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. See, the point is that this question that Subodh Chachan had just asked, whether the investment of Facebook in Reliance Jio would help even our Indian startups or not. I am of the view that it's very important for us to have these kind of corporations where they have a lot of wealth and value, and they become a very ideal place where most of the startups are get the product and services offered by startups are actually consumed and valued. So it's good for India. It's like a lot of wealth is getting created by Reliance Jio, and every nook and corner of this country they are reaching. So it's not a kind of monopoly. I would say that it is a kind of opportunity for Indian startups to get exposed to all those things, and can await and look for a lot of services that this Reliance Jio would actually offer to them. And therefore, what I would say that as Mr. Chris has just said that so many application and products are launched on Reliance Jio platform, and if our people create good products, good tools, they can actually be acquired by Reliance Jio. So we needed a Google in India, a kind of IBM in India, HP in India, and if Reliance Jio is taking that shape, it's good for the country. I mean, you can look at the kind of valuation in thumb rule kind of. So the valuation you can look for Reliance Jio is reaching towards 60 to 70 billion dollar, because 40,000 crore, 43,000 crore equity has been invested against 9.9% equity. So that's good. I mean, let Reliance Jio grow, let Reliance Jio stop some startups, because actually it's a market dynamics, and we don't foresee any monopoly as such in this manner.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, the question, yeah. So it was more of coming together of two giants, more than a monopoly. It was also,
Actually,
as I
it is going to help Indian startup ecosystem.
exactly. So that's what I thought. No, I wanted to hear. So it is creating an opportunity for startups, and as I said, accelerating, as you said, both of speakers. It is going to accelerate adoption of solutions, and I think we have seen both Facebook and Reliance also on buying certain startups. So you wanted to say something? Okay, so yeah, I think we one of our colleagues from STP Chennai wanted to ask questions, so we'll wait for okay, if we can get him in very quickly. Looks like it's not. So I think so. Yeah, sir. Any concluding remarks? Any concluding remarks, sir, before the session?
Let Chris Gopal Krishnan conclude the things, because
Sure.
he has seen from all the sides, so it's good.
So thank you all for participating. In conclusion, I will say that it is difficult time, but there is a support system around you. Reach out. You're not alone, and this will end at some point, and we will emerge out of this stronger. I'm very confident about the capability of our people, our companies, etc., and we'll come out of this together stronger. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So thank you. I mean, in this phase of this adversity, we have to look, I think, as the audience, as our speaker said, look to the strength of human ingenuity that lies within each of us. Beating this pandemic is our collective responsibility, and as Chris said, it's a community responsibility, as not just as a nation, but also as human beings. So we must all be leaders and followers, and try to sail through this, is what I would like to conclude from my speaker's perspective. So I would like to thank my speakers, but team STPI Bengaluru, and Dr. Sri Shailen Tyagiji, team of STPI headquarters, STPI Next, and Airmeet, with whom support only this event was possible. So for the audience, stay tuned for the next upcoming session on 30th April with Sri Arun Jain, founder of Polaris Group and chairman and managing director of Intellect Design Arena. So namaste and goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
you.